Growing up as an only child in a broken home, I never truly understood the dynamics of a close-knit family. My parents' divorce when I was young left me with little contact with either of them, and I spent most of my teenage years bouncing between relatives and foster homes. This tumultuous upbringing shaped my perspective on relationships and family, making me wary of emotional attachments. Then I met Lisa, 30F, the woman who would become my wife. We met 6 years ago at a local community event, introduced by mutual friends who thought we hit it off. Lisa was everything I wasn't: warm, outgoing, and deeply connected to her family. She came from a tight-knit clan with 2 older sisters, Nellie, 35F, and Rachel, 33F, and parents who were still madly in love after 40 years of marriage. Our first date was a disaster. I was nervous and awkward, spilling my drink all over the table and stuttering through conversation. But Lisa found my clumsiness endearing, and somehow, we ended up laughing about it by the end of the night. She agreed to a second date, and before I knew it, we were seeing each other regularly. It was on our third date that I first noticed something odd. We were at a nice Italian restaurant, and I kept seeing this woman in sunglasses and a hat staring at us. She ducked behind her menu whenever I looked her way, but I could feel her eyes on us. I got really uncomfortable and asked Lisa if we could leave, but she just laughed it off. Later, I found out it was actually Nellie, Lisa's oldest sister, spying on our date to check me out for Lisa. Apparently, this was normal behavior for them. As Lisa and I got more serious, I realized just how enmeshed the sisters were. They shared every detail of their lives with each other, including intimate details about our relationship. I once overheard Lisa giggling with her sisters about our first time being intimate, describing things in excruciating detail. I expressed to Lisa that this made me uncomfortable, but she dismissed my concerns, saying I just didn't understand sibling relationships. Despite my reservations about the family dynamics, I fell hard for Lisa. She had a way of making me feel seen and understood, something I'd never experienced before. After dating for 2 years, I decided to propose. I planned an elaborate setup at the community center where we first met, enlisting the help of our mutual friends to decorate the place with fairy lights and flowers. When I got down on one knee, Lisa burst into tears of joy and said yes before I could even finish my speech. Our engagement marked the beginning of a new chapter, but it also brought new challenges. During our wedding planning, an issue came up with Nellie. She had eloped with her husband Vaughn, 37M, 8 years earlier, but now regretted not having a big wedding. She had been pressuring Vaughn to have a vow renewal ceremony, but he refused, saying they needed to save money for their twin daughters, 6F, future. This caused a lot of drama, with all 3 sisters ganging up on Vaughn about it. I tried to gently suggest to Lisa that Vaughn had a point about prioritizing their kids, but she wouldn't hear it. The sisters had always been a united front, and now I was seeing firsthand how they could turn on anyone who didn't align with their wishes. Vaughn held firm though and didn't give in to the pressure, which only seemed to make the sisters more determined. Our actual wedding day is when things really went off the rails. Without telling me, Lisa had agreed to let Nellie wear a white dress and basically have a joint wedding ceremony with us. I was blindsided and furious. This was supposed to be our special day, not a do-over for her sister. I found out about it just hours before the ceremony when I overheard Nellie and Lisa giggling about their shared wedding day. I pulled Lisa aside and we had a heated argument in the church basement. I felt betrayed and disrespected, like my feelings didn't matter at all. Lisa seemed genuinely surprised by my reaction, which only made me feel worse. How could she not see how inappropriate this was? In the end, we compromised. Nellie wore a cream dress instead of pure white, and we nixed the idea of a joint ceremony. But the damage was done. I spent most of our wedding day feeling resentful and out of place. We had a huge fight about it afterwards. Lisa eventually realized she had crossed a line and agreed to create some boundaries with her sisters. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I would always be an outsider in my own marriage. Things were better for a while after that, but I still felt like I was competing for Lisa's attention. The 3 sisters were constantly texting, calling, and getting together without their partners. They had inside jokes and shared experiences that I could never be part of. Vaughn, Nellie's husband, and I bonded over feeling left out and started hanging out more just the 2 of us. About 6 months ago, I was at a coffee shop across town when I saw Nellie walk in with a man who wasn't Vaughn. They were acting very flirty and intimate, laughing and touching each other's arms. I was shocked and wasn't sure what to do. I decided to follow them when they left and saw them kissing goodbye in the parking lot. I was furious on Vaughn's behalf. He's a great guy who works hard to provide for his family, often putting in long hours at his software engineering job. And here was Nellie throwing it all away for some fling. I knew I had to expose her, but I needed concrete proof first. So I started investigating. Over the next few weeks, I figured out that Nellie was meeting this guy, Mark, 34M, at the same coffee shop every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon while Vaughn was at work. Mark was apparently an old friend from college who Nellie had reconnected with on social media. I saw them together multiple times, always acting like a couple. I came up with a plan to catch them in the act. I convinced the coffee shop owner to host a customer appreciation day with games and prizes, including a cutest couple contest. I then invited the whole family out for coffee that day as a surprise, telling Lisa it was just a fun outing. When we arrived, Nellie was already there with Mark. They ended up winning the cutest couple contest and were making out for everyone to see when we walked in. Vaughn was devastated. Lisa looked like she was going to be sick. Nellie tried to explain, but there was no talking her way out of this one. Vaughn left immediately. Nellie ran after him. The rest of us just stood there in shock. Lisa's parents were furious. Rachel was crying. I tried to act surprised, but inside I felt vindicated that Nellie's true colors were finally exposed. In the fallout, Vaughn kicked Nellie out of the house. Their daughters are staying with him for now. Lisa's parents have basically disowned Nellie. Rachel is torn between her sisters. The biggest shock to me was finding out that Lisa knew about the affair. Apparently Nellie had confided in her months ago, claiming that Vaughn was emotionally abusive, which I know is a lie, and that Mark was helping her plan to leave him. Lisa believed her and had been covering for her this whole time. I'm disgusted that my own wife would condone cheating like this. I don't even know who she is anymore. We're barely speaking now and I'm seriously considering whether this marriage can survive. The perfect family I thought I married into is falling apart, and I don't know what to do. Update 1: It's been about a week since Nellie's affair was exposed, and the aftermath has been nothing short of chaotic. The once tight-knit family I married into has been torn apart, with allegiances shifting and relationships strained to their breaking point. Lisa and I are still barely on speaking terms. I can hardly look at her, knowing she played a part in covering up her sister's infidelity. Yesterday, after days of tense silence, Lisa approached me saying we needed to talk. I felt a glimmer of hope, thinking maybe she was finally ready to apologize and explain herself. Instead, she blindsided me with a request that left me reeling. She asked if Nellie could stay with us for a while since Vaughn won't take her back and their parents have cut her off. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The audacity of the request, coupled with Lisa's apparent lack of understanding of how deeply this situation has affected everyone, pushed me over the edge. I lost it at that point, my pent-up frustration and anger finally boiling over. I told Lisa in no uncertain terms that there was no way in hell I would let a cheater stay in our home. I reminded her of the devastation we'd witnessed in Vaughn's eyes, the pain that Nellie had callously inflicted on her family. How could she even consider harboring someone who had betrayed her spouse so completely? Lisa, caught off guard by my vehemence, became defensive. She started yelling back, insisting that I didn't understand the whole situation. As she spoke, a disturbing picture began to emerge. Apparently, Nellie had fed Lisa a carefully crafted story about Vaughn being controlling and emotionally abusive. According to this narrative, Mark wasn't just some homewrecker, but a knight in shining armor helping Nellie escape an unhappy marriage. I called BS on that immediately. We all know Vaughn, he's one of the most easygoing, supportive guys I've ever met. If Nellie was actually being abused, why didn't she tell her parents or Rachel? Why keep it a secret except from Lisa? The more I thought about it, the less sense it made. In an attempt to find some middle ground, I made Lisa an offer. I told her that if Nellie was willing to admit she lied about the abuse in front of the whole family, I would consider letting her stay with us temporarily. It was a long shot, but I hoped it might force Nellie to come clean and take responsibility for her actions. Lisa seemed relieved at that suggestion and immediately called Nellie. But as I expected, Nellie refused to have that conversation with everyone. Instead, she tried to manipulate Lisa further, saying Lisa owed her as a sister to just take her and no questions asked. That's when I saw a change in Lisa's demeanor. For the first time, she seemed to see through Nellie's manipulation. She pressed her sister to tell the truth, her voice growing more insistent with each denial. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Nellie cracked. She admitted she had made up the abuse allegations to justify the affair to Lisa. The admission hit Lisa like a physical blow. She hung up on Nellie and just broke down crying in my arms. It was a heart-wrenching moment, watching the scales fall from her eyes as she realized the extent of her sister's deception. As I held Lisa, a mix of emotions washed over me. I felt terrible for my wife, seeing her world crumble around her. But I was also angry that she had been so quick to believe Nellie's lies without any proof. Her blind loyalty to her sister had nearly destroyed her marriage and Vaughn's family. It was a harsh lesson in the dangers of unwavering familial trust. In the days since that conversation, Lisa has blocked Nellie's number and says she doesn't want anything to do with her anymore. But the damage to our relationship remains. I'm trying to be supportive as Lisa processes all of this, but I'm still deeply hurt by her actions. The trust between us has been severely shaken, and I don't know if I can ever fully regain it. Meanwhile, the rest of the family is in various states of turmoil. Vaughn is struggling to keep it together for his daughter's sake, putting on a brave face while dealing with his own pain and betrayal. Rachel has been helping out with childcare, torn between supporting Vaughn and trying to understand her sister's actions. Lisa's parents are still furious, refusing to even speak Nellie's name. The once lively family group chat has been eerily silent for days. As for Nellie, she's been reaching out to anyone who will listen, trying to spin her story and garner sympathy. But her lies have caught up with her, and she's finding herself increasingly isolated. Mark, the man she threw away her marriage for, has apparently gone radio silent since the affair was exposed. Lisa and I have a long road ahead of us if our marriage is going to survive this ordeal. We've talked about couples therapy, but haven't taken that step yet. For now, we're existing in an uneasy truce, both of us processing our emotions and trying to figure out where we go from here. The perfect family I thought I had married into has been revealed as a house of cards, built on secrets and misplaced loyalties. As we navigate this new reality, I can't help but wonder if any relationship is truly as solid as it seems from the outside. Update 2: The past couple of weeks have been a whirlwind of drama and emotions, with the situation somehow managing to become even more complicated. Nellie, now finding herself truly alone, has been desperately reaching out to anyone who will listen. Her phone calls and messages have been incessant, her pleas for help growing increasingly frantic with each passing day. The breaking point came when Mark, the man Nellie had risked everything for, unceremoniously dumped her. Apparently, he claimed it was just a fling and he never meant for it to get so serious. This revelation left Nellie reeling, suddenly faced with the full consequences of her actions without even the cold comfort of a new relationship to cling to. With nowhere else to turn, Nellie showed up at Rachel's apartment in the middle of the night. She was a mess, mascara streaking down her face, clothes disheveled, reeking of alcohol. She began pounding on the door, sobbing and threatening to hurt herself if Rachel didn't let her in. Faced with her sister's evident distress, Rachel reluctantly opened the door. Rachel, always the peacemaker of the family, allowed Nellie to stay the night. She listened patiently as Nellie alternated between self-pity and anger, railing against the unfairness of it all. Rachel tried to offer some tough love, pointing out that these were the consequences of Nellie's own choices. But Nellie was too far gone in her spiral of self-destruction to hear it. The next morning, when Rachel gently suggested it was time for Nellie to leave, things took a turn for the worse. Nellie barricaded herself in the guest room, refusing to come out. She screamed through the door that she had nowhere else to go, that everyone had abandoned her. Rachel, at her wit's end, finally called Vaughn for help. Vaughn's arrival sparked a new round of drama. Nellie alternated between begging for his forgiveness and accusing him of ruining her life. Vaughn, to his credit, remained calm in the face of her hysterics. After hours of negotiation through the locked door, they reached an agreement. Nellie would be allowed to move back into the house with Vaughn and the girls temporarily while they sort out the divorce. It's clear that Vaughn is only doing this for his daughter's sake. He's made it abundantly clear that the marriage is over, but he's willing to endure Nellie's presence to maintain some stability for the girls. It's a testament to his character that he can put aside his own pain for the sake of his children. Nellie, in a last-ditch effort to salvage her marriage, tried to convince Vaughn to go to couples counseling and work things out. But Vaughn shut that down immediately. In a moment of brutal honesty, he told her that she had thrown away their family the moment she decided to cheat, and now she had to live with those consequences. It was harsh, but necessary, a clear line in the sand that left no room for misinterpretation. The reality of her situation seems to be slowly sinking in for Nellie. She's facing a future she never anticipated, divorced, potentially losing primary custody of her children, and having to support herself for the first time in her adult life. Since Nellie has no job or income of her own, it's pretty much guaranteed Vaughn will get primary custody of the girls in the divorce. Meanwhile, Lisa is still struggling to process everything. She's barely speaking to anyone in the family right now, withdrawing into herself as she grapples with her role in this mess. I think she feels deeply guilty for enabling Nellie's behavior for so long, and embarrassed that she fell for Nellie's lies so easily. I'm trying to be patient and supportive, but I can't deny that there's still a part of me that resents her involvement in the deception. In an effort to support Vaughn through this difficult time, I've started organizing guys' nights with him and Rachel's new boyfriend, Alex, 31M. It's a chance for Vaughn to get out of the house and take his mind off things for a while. We've been encouraging him to start thinking about dating again when he's ready, reminding him that he's a great catch and deserves to find happiness. As for Nellie, she's taken to social media to play the victim. Her Facebook and Instagram are filled with vague statuses about forgiveness and second chances, thinly veiled attempts to garner sympathy from anyone who will listen. But her efforts backfired spectacularly when Lisa's mom decided she'd had enough. In a scathing public comment, Lisa's mom shut down Nellie's pity party quick. She wrote that if Nellie wanted to air dirty laundry publicly, she had plenty she could share too. The implied threat was clear, and it got Nellie to stop posting real fast. It was a rare moment of satisfaction in this whole mess, seeing Nellie finally face some consequences for her actions. The family dynamics have shifted dramatically in the wake of all this. The once inseparable sisters are now fractured, with Lisa and Rachel trying to navigate their relationship without Nellie. Family gatherings, once joyous affairs, are now tense and awkward. Everyone's walking on eggshells, afraid to say the wrong thing and spark another round of drama. I still can't believe how quickly this picture-perfect family imploded. It just goes to show you never really know what's going on behind closed doors. The facade of the perfect family has been shattered, revealing the complex, messy reality underneath. As for Lisa and me, we're taking things day by day. The trust between us is still fragile, but we're working on rebuilding it. We've started seeing a couples therapist, which has been helping us communicate better and work through our issues. It's a slow process, but I'm cautiously optimistic that we can come out stronger on the other side of this ordeal. Update 3: It's been about 2 months now since everything went down, and some semblance of a new normal is starting to emerge. The dust is settling, revealing a landscape forever changed by the events of the past few months. Nellie finally moved out of Vaughn's house last week, a development that brought a collective sigh of relief from everyone involved. The tension of living under the same roof had been palpable, with Vaughn and Nellie barely able to be in the same room without sparking an argument. Nellie's departure marks a significant step towards closure for Vaughn and the girls. In a surprising turn of events, Nellie has managed to secure a job as a receptionist at a local dental office. It's a far cry from her previous life as a stay-at-home mom, but it's a start. She's renting a small apartment nearby, trying to piece together some semblance of independence. Vaughn, showing remarkable grace, is letting her have the girls every other weekend for now. It's clear he's putting his daughter's well-being first, even if it means having to maintain a civil relationship with Nellie. The divorce proceedings are moving forward at a steady pace. Vaughn's lawyer is confident they'll be able to wrap things up relatively quickly, given the circumstances. Nellie doesn't have much leverage in the negotiations, a fact she's slowly coming to terms with. She'll get minimal alimony for a short time to help her get on her feet, but that's about it. It's a harsh reality check for someone who's been financially dependent for so long. Lisa has been making progress in rebuilding her relationships with Rachel and her parents, but things are still tense. Family dinners are no longer the warm, lively affairs they once were. Conversations are stilted, with everyone carefully avoiding certain topics. But they're trying, which is more than can be said for their relationship with Nellie. Lisa has come to realize how codependent she was on her sisters, particularly Nellie. She's been working with a therapist to establish healthier boundaries and develop a stronger sense of self outside of her family relationships. It's been an adjustment for everyone, especially her parents who were used to their daughters being inseparable. But I can see Lisa growing stronger and more confident with each passing day. The biggest upcoming challenge is Rachel's wedding next month. It's set to be the first major family event since the affair came to light, and tensions are running high. Nellie is not invited, a decision that has caused no small amount of drama. True to form, she tried to guilt Rachel into changing her mind, playing the sisters should stick together no matter what card. But Rachel, showing a backbone I didn't know she had, held firm. She told Nellie in no uncertain terms that she didn't want that kind of negativity on her special day. Vaughn and the girls will be at the wedding, which I'm sure will be awkward for everyone involved. It will be his first big family event post-split, and I can only imagine how difficult it will be for him. Lisa and I have volunteered to run interference and try to keep things smooth for everyone's sake. It's going to be a delicate balancing act, but we're determined to make sure Rachel's day isn't overshadowed by family drama. I have to admit, I'm proud of how Lisa has handled things these past few weeks. She's really been working on herself and our marriage. We're in a much better place now than we were right after everything blew up. The couples therapy has been helping, giving us tools to communicate better and work through our issues. I think this whole ordeal has been a wake-up call for her about the importance of putting our relationship first. As for Vaughn, he's doing better day by day. Our guys' nights have become a regular thing, providing a much-needed outlet for him to relax and be himself. He's not ready to date yet, which is understandable given everything he's been through. But he's starting to seem more like his old self. He laughs more easily now, and there's a lightness to him that had been missing in the immediate aftermath of the affair. I have no doubt he'll come out of this whole mess stronger in the end. Looking back on everything that's happened, it's hard to believe how much has changed in just a few short months. The picture-perfect family I thought I had married into has been revealed as a complex, flawed group of individuals, each struggling with their own issues and insecurities. But in a way, I think we're all better for having gone through this. The false facade has been stripped away, leaving room for more authentic, honest relationships to develop. It's been a difficult journey, but I'm hopeful that we'll emerge from it stronger and more united than ever before.